Medi, you're coming in here from Paris? Is that where you're from?
I'm from Nice, actually, in the south of France, but I live in Paris.
Okay. Yeah. And now, your career kind of fascinates me so far. I was wondering if you could take us back, tell me how did you get started in music?
I started music with the drums, actually. When I was a kid, I was a fan of drums and drummers, and only practicing my drums every day in a school, in a jazz school in Nice, in the south of France. And after that, I actually discovered that I also liked singing and writing songs, playing in bars, playing covers for loads of drunken people in the old town in Nice. And it was fun. It was fun to be 15, 16 in Nice for me.
What kind of music influenced you back then? Like, what kind of stuff were you writing?
Well, when I was a kid, I was listening to my parents' vinyls, and all they were listening to were like the Motown sound and Stax and Led Zeppelin and James Taylor and Neil Young and Johnny Mitchell and all this. Nothing in their record collection was French, actually. So that's why I got like brought up in this sort of Anglo-Saxon culture. And then after I moved to London as well, a little bit later. So I carried on writing songs in English and talking English every day.
Interesting. And was that common back then in France?
No, it took me 10 years to make friends accept that I could do that.
Really, that's interesting. I mean, it's interesting to think about when you were playing that kind of music. Was that the first time some people were hearing it? Do you think?
I don't know, actually. You know, it's like for me, I tend to not think too much about this stuff.
Oh, fair enough.
But I guess, you know, like for me, I've been traveling so much as well in the past years, and I tend to forget that I'm French every day. I don't really care, actually.
No, that's fair enough. Music's universal language.
Exactly. Yeah. When I'm in France, we have this debate often, like, oh, you know, should you sing in French? Should you sing in English? Whatever. And my answers could be like, I like Phoenix because it's a great band, not because it's a French band. You know.
Right.
I like Nina Simone because she's a great artist, for nothing else.
Interesting. And how did you end up as Charlie Winston's drummer? He's an English songwriter that we've interviewed a couple of times.
Oh yeah.
Here.
He's a good friend of mine. We've been hanging out together since this Nice time I was telling you about. I met Charlie when I was 16 in the bars in the old town. And because I moved to London to work on my first record in 2001, we became great friends, sharing a lot of musical things. We were organizing gigs together, doing exchange between Paris and London, and we sort of always had this community vibe, Charlie and I. So like his crew and my crew are kind of like melted. They've been melted for a while. So I drum with Charlie. He writes songs with me. Sometimes we kind of mix, and this is our like hippie side of the project.
Like a collective sort of project.
Yeah, a collective, and this team seems to be working. So we try to keep doing music together, even though the schedules are getting harder and harder to connect. But I'm actually gonna do the next album with Charlie, but I'm not sure if I'm gonna be drumming for the whole tour or anything. But yeah, he's a great friend of mine.
Interesting. Looking forward to hearing that. So your new album, it's called "You Got Me Moving."
Yeah.
Is that your first album, or how many albums do you have out?
I did a record produced by Dave Stewart.
Oh wow.
When I was living in London, and it sort of became a very intimate record. Like I didn't find much ways to expand this music I was doing back then, and I did it under the name of Medi and the Medicine Show.
Right.
And so yeah, You Got Me Moving is kind of my first album that allows me to travel so far away from home. So I guess it's the first one. I'm happy to be 31 and have this album now.
You recorded it in L.A., right?
Yeah.
What led you to that decision?
Only because of the sun, and
okay, good
just
enough.
that I could go to the beach every day, and there was a great producer called Tony Berg the A&R of my record company in France introduced me to him, and I actually fell in love with his work. It was really important for me to work with a producer that could talk about songs before talking about any sound, you know. So we said he's a great musician, Tony. He's been at the A&R for Geffen Records for 9 years as well. He discovered Beck. He produced Black Rebel Motorcycle Club. He's a very eclectic guy, and he's a great musician. He used to play for the Muppet Show and stuff like that. You know, yeah. And so when I flew in LA and got to Tony's house, because the studio was in his house, it's like a little studio. All we talked about for a week were songs, songwriting. We listened to music, Randy Newman, and loads of stuff, like hours. Drank coffee. I hear you like coffee too.
Yeah.
So we drank loads of coffee, and because I was French, he wanted always me to eat cheese and have some wine. I was like, man, it's 10 o'clock in the morning. But anyway, and then we discussed all these songs, the collection of songs I had, and decided, okay, that's going to be the 12 tracks we're going to record, and then we entered the studio. And at this point, it's been a really instinctive process, you know. He's a guy that works so fast, like in the old ways, you know, you got to be a good musician to make a record, in his opinion. So if you got an idea, like, oh, maybe I could be doing this or that, it was like, yeah, let's record now. So the whole process has been like that.
Spontaneous. And, you know, listen to the album, it has a classic sound, in my opinion. You know, everything from the lyrics to the way you play, which is, I mean, I think the kind of rhythmic playing only drummers can do when playing guitar. But, you know, I definitely thought of that sound, that vintage sort of sound that the album has when you mentioned how you grew up listening to Stax and Motown and that kind of stuff. Would you still say that's a really big influence on your writing? I've got many influences actually, and what I try to do is to get a few ingredients in all the music that I've been listening to in the past, because it's the Stax and Motown sound, but it's also the Kinks and the Who and you know, lots of different stuff. And I guess the vintage side of it could be that I'm not afraid of mistakes, you know. Yeah.
I'm not afraid of having a completely fucked up voice today and talk to you and then have to sing whatever. When things are too perfect for me, it gets dangerous. So yeah, that's back then the records were made like in 3 days or 4 days, or like these guys like the Funk Brothers in Motown, like they were good enough musicians to like record 3 singles in a day. So I like to think that music has to be intuitive. So I guess that's my vintage part of the process.
Yeah, well, it's a very refreshing sound actually for the record. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I'm wrapping it. I was just about to. Yeah. All right. Well, let's. Should I do the last part again? Or?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
I'll edit right there.
Okay.
Start a new question.
Okay. You made me forget my last question, really, yeah. Okay, wait, I was sitting exactly like this, I think. Yeah. So what are the plans for the future? Are you going to be touring this record for a bit, or?
The plans are to release the album in a few different countries, which is actually happening right now, and I'm very glad that, you know, I'm going to be traveling the world a little bit.
Yeah.
And we start a Europe tour end of April, and, you know, I hope I'm going to be back in Canada soon. I heard there was a possibility for it. So yeah, the plan is just to enjoy music with my brothers and friends on stage, and then meet as many people and write more songs and think about the other album. But my plans, it's like a long list, so we could be here for 20 years.
Okay, well, we look forward to whatever you come up with. Thanks so
a
much
lot,
for
man.
coming in.
Thanks a lot.
ExploreMusic wears English Laundry apparel.